Sponsored by McCams, getting you back on two wheels when it wasn't your fault.
Alright, we just arrived in Spain for the launch of the 2020 Triumph Street Triple. It's been updated quite a bit for next year, so yeah, looking forward to showing you the bike. But it's only my second press trip for Bike World, so I thought I'd bring you along, vlog it, show you a little bit behind the scenes of what one of these press trips is like. Now, tomorrow, it's going to be half on the road, half on the track, and I've got to admit, I've never ridden on the track before, never done a single track day in my life, so I'm slightly daunted by the prospect of, you know, whizzing around with a bunch of experienced journalists from all of the sports bike orientated publications, and they've got many years of fast riding behind them, so they've been very kind and reassuring so far. But I didn't have any kit, so Bike World pulled some strings and hooked me up with a bit of gear, so I wanted to show you what sort of stuff I'll be wearing tomorrow. Thanks to Nevis UK, they're the distributor for some of these brands that hooked us up with this. So we've got the Shark Spartan lid. Obviously it's got its little gold sticker there, so it's approved for track use. I've actually been wearing this quite a bit the last couple of weeks, just commuting and on the road and stuff, and it's really nice and light, comfortable, and quite quiet as well. I normally wear like a retro lid, which aren't generally the best designed for noise, but that's been quite refreshing. Then we've got the Furigun Raptor Evo jacket, which is absolutely lovely. That zips together with these Raptor matching trousers. So yeah, they did send out a one piece, which was very nice as well, but it didn't quite fit me in that I was a little bit too large. So this has got a bit more of a relaxed fit, and yeah, very nice indeed. Then some race gloves. These are the Fit R2 Furigun gloves. So obviously quite a big cuff there to go over the suit. Plenty of armor, but nice and lightweight. So these will be good. And then these TCX boots. These are the RT Race. I just love these. I mean, I like all of the kit that they've sent out, but these are just, I don't know, they look kind of high tech and very cool, and I've tried those on a few times and really comfortable. So that's my sort of riding gear for tomorrow. Nox were also kind enough. I met up with Aaron from Nox, who does their YouTube channel as well. I met up with him on Friday last week, and he handed over this back protector, so hopefully won't need it in earnest, but always good to have. My 2-year-old daughter thought it was a tortoise, so she's probably a bit gutted that it's come with me, but yeah. Anyway, there's a bike downstairs in the lobby just parked there on display, so I think we'll go down and I'll show you a little bit of this new bike. Alright, so here's the new bike, a Street Triple RS with the redesigned headlights. You've got these daytime running lights down the top edge here. Makes it look a little bit more frowny and a bit more serious, but I really like what they've done with the design. So the fly screen here is new, side panels are new, belly pan is new, and the sort of tail unit and pillion seat cover there, they've all been redesigned, and then there's new finish on the hangers here and these ones as well, and then a new carbon tip on the exhaust with a bit of a Triumph logo there. That's a nice little touch. So yeah, quite a few styling updates, some new colors, and then apparently 9% more torque and power in the mid-range, although the peak torque has only moved up by a couple of newton meters and peak power has stayed pretty much the same. There should be a bit of a boost in the mid-range, so we'll find out tomorrow when we get on the track, and a bit of road riding, so I'm looking forward to that. Just gonna have a look at some of the footage I've already got, get myself showered. It's been a bit of a fairly long day of traveling, and then head down to the technical presentation. Here we go, my bike for the day. We're just off on the road ride now for a couple of hours. But before we hit the road, here's a rundown of the specs. Much of the equipment has remained the same from the last Street Triple RS model, as it was already pretty well spec'd. Suspension comes in the form of Showa's adjustable 41mm big piston upside down forks with a fully adjustable Öhlins monoshock at the rear. Brembo provide their M50 radially mounted monoblock 4-pot calipers on 310mm floating discs at the front and a single pot caliper on a 220mm disc at the rear. And tyres are from Pirelli with their Diablo Supercorsa SP V3s front and rear. But where the bike has been improved is the motor, with Triumph drafting in the team that developed the Moto 2 engine to help update their 765cc triple in order to meet next year's Euro 5 emissions rules. But as well as running cleaner, a redesigned exhaust balance pipe is responsible for an extra 2 Nm of peak torque, with 79 produced at 9,350 revs as opposed to the 77 of the last bike. But perhaps more significantly for day-to-day road use, there's an extra 9% bump in torque in the mid-range too. Peak power remains the same at 123 PS at 11,750 RPM, but again there's 9% more in the mid-range. Triumph attribute this to their redesigned exhaust cam, as well as more precise machining on the crankshaft, balancer and clutch, which lowers rotational inertia by 7%. If you combine a lighter motor with more torque, it should make for better, more immediate throttle response. Triumph also redesigned the exhaust, now using a twin catalyst system, which means that they've been able to reduce emissions while simultaneously making it freer flowing. Combined with redesigned intake ducts, the bike now produces a lovely crisp note, which makes a strong case for not even bothering to swap out the cam for something aftermarket. Triumph's Shift Assist quick shifter is now fitted as standard, with an auto blipper on the downshift, which wasn't present on the last model. But should you choose to employ the clutch, lever action is light owing to a slip assist mechanism. In terms of electronics, Triumph have improved the graphics on their TFT display, as well as installing their My Triumph software as standard. The bike retains its 5 riding modes of road, rain, sport, track and rider configurable, but they've been revised ever so slightly to account for the increase in power and torque in the mid-range. In terms of lighting, the LED daytime running lights are moved to the top edge of the headlight and give a more distinctive, brighter looking presence to the front end, which should be good for visibility and therefore safety. The bike remains the lightest in its class at 166 kilograms dry, and the seat height is reasonably accessible at 825mm with a saddle that narrows significantly at the front, making it quite comfortable to reach the floor even for my short legs. The tank capacity remains at 17.4 litres, which should be good for a couple of 100 miles of sensible riding according to Triumph's consumption figures. So, to summarise the specs of this bike, they were already good, but Triumph added more power, torque, an auto blipper and more connectivity. So as you can imagine, I was keen to get on with the day's riding. So that concludes the road ride for this morning. Actually a pretty decent bike on the road. If you're familiar with the last generation, the ergonomics, the geometry stayed the same seat height, same wide bars. Seat's nice and comfy, you can sort of shuffle forward a little bit and that'll bring you more upright, possibly help you reach the floor on both sides. But then there's enough room to tuck your bum back a bit and get tucked down, and you know, it rises up a little bit so it feels a bit more sporty. Obviously the motor's got a bit more torque and power, so hard to say how that feels other than riding the old bike and then riding this one. You can't really get that good a contrast, but it does feel you know, sufficiently torquey coming out of some of the roundabouts. You could keep it in third and it would just pull right through the rev range as you accelerate. So felt lively as well. They say 7% less rotational inertia, and it definitely does feel responsive. Again, hard to compare and contrast when you're only riding this bike today, but definitely felt good. Quick shifter as well, and blipper now, so you get a blipper when you're shifting down. One of the things that they said in the technical presentation last night, which I was actually interested to test out, was that it doesn't really need that much revving, and actually you can use it at sort of town speeds, and it was quite good actually at low revs. I've definitely ridden some bikes with quick shifters that really need to get up into the 6, 7, 8,000 revs before they start to feel smooth, but this was quite usable. Obviously it always feels a bit better when the revs pick up, but definitely good enough. The clutch as well, it's slip assist, which is getting more and more commonplace across, you know, most manufacturers now, but it does give you a very light lever feel. So if you do feel like using the clutch, especially at those lower speeds, then it's not a lot of effort. It's definitely got a light feel to it. So that makes it quite nice around town. I also like the self-cancelling indicators. Why don't more bikes have it? Like, it just makes a lot of sense safety-wise. You know, if you're riding in a group and it gets left on, it's a bit dodgy, isn't it? And same if you're riding around town and you're doing a lot of junctions, it's very easy to leave it left on. So definitely like that feature. Yeah, this is it really. Just had a bit of lunch. Let me get my gear back on. It's probably a bit sweaty now, so it might take me a bit longer. Just done our first session, and can't say I set the world alight, but I really enjoyed it. Just like learning the track on the first few laps and growing in confidence a little bit. I can tell that I'm still not going particularly quick through the corners. You know, you're not feeling like you're anywhere near the limits, but doesn't stop you enjoying it all the same. It was absolutely wicked. We've got 2 more sessions, so just dying to get back out. I think it's an hour wait in between. So we've got tyre warmers on, which is very nice indeed. And then these bikes have had their suspension tweaked a little bit to suit track. And then they've also obviously been put in track mode as well, which will give you a bit more throttle response. And I think also it keeps the ABS on, but gives you a little bit less, well, it's a little bit less intrusive, let's say. So yeah, it's an incredible day out for me, this. One thing that might surprise a few folks as well, I already posted a video on my own channel about the bike, and a lot of people were commenting saying like, oh, what's the price? And a couple of people saying, oh, it's probably going to be more like 11 grand, because, you know, as a bike gets better, you sort of expect it to, for the price to go up, but actually it stayed the same, so 10,300 despite a fair few enhancements there, so that's quite nice for the punter. Yeah, I think one thing that you just never get tired of is just getting onto that straight and then wide open on the throttle. It's just, you never get to do that on the road, especially in the UK. There's just nowhere. For me, I'm in London a lot, and then if I get out to Kent for a bit of riding, you know, you can go a bit quicker, but there's no feeling like that of just seeing a straight road ahead of you and just absolutely nailing it. It's awesome fun. So that's pretty much it for the riding today. I think we're just waiting to go and do some tracking shots where the camera car is going to go in front of us and get some photos and video. But that'll just be easy riding. But a nice way to finish the day off. that last session, I just absolutely loved it. I think, you know, the first one, you're still learning the track a bit, and then as the sessions go on, you can stop thinking about that quite so much and just really start to focus on hitting the braking points, trying to get your line right, body position. The guys, all the journalists actually have been great, giving me tips, you know, on how to just get the basics right. As for the bike, I mean, obviously I'm not a seasoned track pro, but it's a really easy bike to ride for me anyway. The quick shifter really helps on the track, and the blipper, and it's pretty neutral in the way it handles, and it's not too scary in terms of power, even in track mode, you know, giving it full throttle response. For me, as a beginner's track bike and someone who's doing it first time, I thought it was very pleasant indeed. Packing at the hotel this morning. We're off back to the UK in a few hours. A bit of a chance to review the footage from yesterday. It's amazing watching it back and just yeah, reflecting on quite a, well, as far as first times on the track go, I don't think it really gets any better than having like really experienced journalists giving you tips. There was some BSB and TT riders there that were guiding the road ride, but they were also on the track with us, 2 in each session, and yeah, giving you little tips afterwards. What fortunate person I am. So yeah, I just wanted to wrap up by saying thank you very much to Bike World for sending me out on this launch. And also, as I've said, Nevis and Knox, who supplied all the gear last minute, hooked me up, which obviously made the day, you know, wearing fresh gear as well. It makes it pretty special too. So a cracking day. Thank you to those guys. Thanks to Triumph as well. The bike, go try it yourself. If you like the Street Triple before, then I can't really see how you won't like this one. But I think they're in dealers in November, so or maybe before that. They're going to be there soon anyway. So I always encourage people to just get out there and try it yourself, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little sort of look behind the scenes, and hopefully I'll see you again in future videos.
Sponsored by McCams, getting you back on 2 wheels when it wasn't your fault.